Hey, it's Mr. K with Mr. K's Mower Salvage. Just gonna give you guys a little tour of my some of our engines that we're processing, and just a little bit of what I've learned about these engines, things to look for. So you can see here on the table, I've got some Briggs and Stratton single-cylinder engines. This is probably some of my most popular products. Um, I get a lot of questions on a couple of parts here, and I just wanted to kind of show you um, these parts. So if you look at these two parts here, these are both Briggs and Stratton single cylinder engines, and both of these part numbers on these are 793880. And the funny thing is, you can see on the bottom of this one, you see there's a little slotted groove. This would typically go with an oil pan that has the external oil filter. They all have an oil filter, but that would typically go with one that has an external oil filter. In addition, see, this one does not have a groove. This is the style that would go with an oil pan that doesn't have the external oil filter. Both parts, 793880, you can see they're both very different. Just one of the strange things that Briggs and Stratton does, but they strangely enough are the same part. So just kind of going through these engines here real quick. Got an oil sump, oil pan. One of the things that's really important on these is you'll see some stress cracking, which I've already kind of inspected this one, and this one looked pretty good. No stress cracking, but where that's aluminum, it goes under so much pressure, and unfortunately I don't have one to show you that's got the stressing, but that's just one thing to look for. Same thing on this is a Briggs single cylinder head, part number 796026. So one of the things that happens often on these, on the back side here, is you can see right in here, in this area here, this is your exhaust intake, and a lot of times you'll see stress cracking on there. So just always important to look for that. Make sure that your golly, I forgot the name, but anyway, making sure that those are sitting tight. They should be, and when you push down on them, there should be a decent amount of resistance. So that's just kind of a quick check on that. Something else that's really funny about these parts, look at this block. You can see right here, this is flat. This is block number 796010. Very common, very popular block. Strangely enough, this is also block 796010, and there's a groove right here. So people, when you go to order these parts, it's something you really got to know, and you want to ask the question before you order it, because it changes the fit, changes the outcome of how it works. But this is just some of the stuff. I sell these cylinder heads as a kit, complete. Come with the aluminum and the steel push rods. They come with your cover, your rocker cover. It does come with the rocker arms, the adjuster screws. I put mine, I have all the bolts to actually mount the cylinder head onto the block, as well as the bolts for the rocker cover. I do that as a complete kit, so those do very well, and a lot of people need these when they're good. Unfortunately, every time I bring them in, they're not always good. I do get some ruined ones. So pistons are always another thing. One thing to always look for is around this edge. Look for any grooving, making sure that, I think you can see it there, making sure that you got a nice smooth surface. That's what's actually going to go around your crankshaft. When it comes to that crankshaft, that's something else also. Right here, you can see that should be very smooth to the touch. You shouldn't have any grooving in there. That should feel very smooth. Your shaft end should feel very smooth. I haven't looked up this crankshaft yet. I believe it's part number 595339, but I need to do a little bit of research and make sure that's what it is. Very common crankshaft, but there's a couple of variations, some different part numbers that Briggs uses in these single cylinder ones. I do know this is a 595339, so that's a good crankshaft. You got your 14 tooth starter. This fits your Briggs & Stratton single cylinder engines, at least your newer models. And when I say a newer model, the newer ones pretty much always have these plastic covers, 591, 907. So just a little bit, that's what we've processed and cleaned. Still got to get some part numbers. I like getting my part numbers. I go straight to the Briggs & Stratton parts manual for that engine. I'll use the engine code. Don't know how well. There you go. See, you got the model number, the type, and it's always important too to have that code, because this engine model may have used a certain part up until 2007, and then in 2007 they switched over and started using a different part. So you want to have that code. It's kind of hard to see, but that's actually a date, 06, 09, 06. So this engine was built in 2006, June 9th, right? No, September 9th, 2006. The first two is your year, then the four numbers following that, that's your month, and then day. So just a quick little preview of what we got to come. So you can see here I've actually got 3 Briggs & Stratton engines. This engine sump off of this one was no good, as well as the piston and the crankshaft. There was some damage on those. I inspected the block. Luckily there was no damage to the block, so we will have that going up. Got a good flywheel, some other few good parts, but just a little bit of what we got going on. So don't forget to like, follow, share. Follow me on Facebook at Mr. K Mower Salvage, on Twitter at Mr. K Mower Salvage, and see what we got going on. Thank you, God bless, and don't forget to cut your grass.